Well, it's time to get your plant and garden questions answered live.
Lisa Briggs from the Bruce Company is standing by. The number to call is 270-9933. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Hello. How are you guys?
We're doing great.
Excellent.
Let's go to the calls. We'll start with Greg from Madison. Hi, Greg. What's your question?
My wife is down in Texas right now, and she's coming back this weekend and bringing me 2 tomato plants that I'm going to put in a big pot that I usually have my tomato plants in. Mm-hmm. And I guess I can leave them outside during the day, bring them in at night if it's going to be cold. I'm just hoping I can get like some tomatoes by like Memorial Day or something, be ahead of the game.
Okay,
You got any suggestions?
Plants do not like temperatures below 50. And if it goes much below 50, not only do they not like it, but it can really stunt their growth. So in the next coming week, when temps are in the 60s and 70s, you can certainly have them outside. But if it's going to be below 50 night or day, bring them in the house.
So way too early to be thinking about putting them in the ground.
I'm barely thinking about planting my tomato seeds.
Oh, that's good. That puts it in perspective. All right, let's go to Karen in Madison. Hi, Karen. What's your question?
Hello. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I have a birch tree, and on the north side of the birch tree, it's getting moss, and I don't know if it's going to hurt the tree or how I should remove the moss.
Moss won't hurt a birch tree. It's not really a plant per se, but it sometimes will cause a little bit of decay. It's not really going to do a lot of damage, but there is a product on the market called a mossicide, and it is a plant. It's by Safers, and I think that you can spray it on the moss, and then the moss will be easy to get off, or you can just peel it off because it doesn't really root in the way normal plants do. Under no circumstances do you want to use any home recipe things for getting rid of moss, like bleach or that kind of thing. Those would be really corrosive and damaging to the birch tree. Save that kind of nonsense for patios and, decks and that kind of thing.
How do you spell that word that you said I should use?
It's a mossicide, like a herbicide, only with moss.
Mossicide.
Mossicide, M-O-S-S. It's by Safers, and we have it at the garden center.
Okay. All right, thanks for your call. Let's go to Dorothy in Monroe. Hi, Dorothy. What's your question?
I have a couple of hundred daffodils in my backyard, as well as celandine poppies, and they look spectacular when they're blooming. The celandine poppies, after they bloom, the leaves are okay, but daffodils die. The leaves look terrible, and you have to you can't cut them down because all the nutrition from the leaves has to go into the bulb again. So what can I plant with the daffodils so they don't look so horrible after the bloom is over?
Well, you could certainly plant something like maybe some of the coral bells that have really attractive foliage and would bloom maybe after the daffs. But they're kind of mounding and don't get really big, so they won't shade out the daffodils. But that's what I would go with, something that's going to sort of hide those icky knees. You could be like Martha Stewart and sort of braid the leaves of the daffodils until they start to turn yellow. But the minute they start to turn yellow, you can cut them back.
Okay.
All right, let's go to Pat in Arlington. Hi, Pat. What's your question?
Hi. I have a 9-bark that I need to move, but I want to know if I can do that within the next week. Then I also want to know if I can cut it back at the same time. I've cut back the previous one I had, and it came back.
Yeah, 9-bark they're really adaptable as far as pruning are concerned, and it will be easier for you to move it if you cut it back. So I would go ahead and take it back by about half, and then as soon as you can get your shovel in the ground, but the soil isn't sopping wet, then go ahead and dig out the root ball. You don't have to go super deep with 9-bark, maybe only about 12 inches, and as wide as you can. And as you dig, kind of work a tarp underneath the root ball so that when you lift it, then you could just slide it out of the hole. It's also really good to have the new hole kind of ready for it. And in this circumstance, I would definitely get some root stimulator. There's a really good product that we have at Garden Center by a company called Fertilome. It's water soluble, and it is a fertilizer that will sort of get the roots regrowing, which is what you really want to do.
Okay. We are out of time, unfortunately. We thank you all for calling in, and for those of you we didn't get to, we'll do it next time.
Thank you, Lisa.
Have a good day, guys.